I don't know if you can hear the beeps, but there's no lag. There's literally, let's see. Alright guys, so I'm here with the Sony A7RIII. I'm in New York City testing it out. This is my first hands-on experience with the camera. I'm shooting it with the new 24 to 105 lens, and overall, compared to the A7RII, which this now replaces, you're gaining quite a bit of speed. The autofocus is now twice as fast. You have the dual card slots of the A9, the same battery system as the A9. You have the same EVF as the A9, but you have the same sensor as the A7RII. But they have made changes within the architecture of the camera to improve the image quality and overall quality of the camera and the experience of using it. The image quality from the A7RIII has better color fidelity, better dynamic range with a full 15 stops. You have all kinds of goodies packed in here, including the new HDR 4K video. You have S-Log3 for you filmmakers out there, but the autofocus is quite a bit faster than the old A7RII. You're getting those high-res files, so while you're not getting full-out A9 speed, you're getting semi-close to it. You're getting a taste of it, but you're also getting those high-res files. So I'm out shooting with it today with other journalists here, and just going to try to see what I can see out of the sharpness, out of the dynamic range, even though there's not too much testing to be done with dynamic range in this lighting. But overall, it's a very, very amazing camera actually. For $31.99, I don't know of any other full-frame camera that matches, high-res wise, matches what you can do with the A7RIII at this price point. Yeah, the lens here is a little on the large side. It looks like an SLR lens, but don't forget, with Sony you can use almost any lens from any manufacturer via adapters, whether that's smaller Leica M-glass or even lenses made by Voigtlander, or you can use Canon, Nikon, all via adapters. So that's the versatility of mirrorless. And with Sony, basically you're getting the most versatility of any camera I've ever owned or seen. I'm filming this with the A9 as usual. I love my A9. But for you out there who want the high res, I mean, this is the answer right here. The Sony A7R Mark III. But here it is in the hand, and it looks, it's the same shell as the A7RII. So you have the same body, the same feel exactly, but instead you're getting the new slot door and the new battery system as well. So you have the bigger Z batteries. So far on this hands-on first look, I'm really liking what I'm seeing, but I love Sony cameras, and each year they push the envelope more and more, and it's almost been 3 years since the A7RII, so that's quite a hefty time period for Sony. So now you have the A7RIII. It's fantastic. It's basically all of you who've been waiting for a high-res A9. This is as close as you're gonna get right here. Actually, I'd like to say one more thing. This camera right here is probably the best deal going for a high-res, full-frame, mirrorless camera. You're not really going to find anything that touches this. For example, for about $1,100–1,200 more than something like a Panasonic GH5, you're getting a full frame, high resolution powerhouse with fast autofocus. The continuous autofocus performance of this is astonishing, especially when you consider the high resolution. Sony is just doing so many things right, so many great things within digital photography. They're really pushing the limits of what can be done, and they're showing no signs of slowing down whatsoever. Again, I say it every year, I say it all the time, but Sony, kudos to Sony for, again, pushing those limits, pushing that envelope, breaking down new ground. And yes, this is breaking down new ground. Its closest competitor is the Nikon D850, but you're not going to be able to do as much with that D850 as you can with the Sony A7RIII. For example, can you use a Leica M lens on the Nikon D850? No. Can you use a Canon lens on the Nikon D850? No. Do you have a no blackout situation with the Nikon D850? No. Can you shoot 10 frames per second with continuous AF and continuous AE with the Nikon D850? No. As a matter of fact, this is also smaller than that D850. It's lighter than the D850, and you can go with smaller lenses. I'm shooting this with the 28mm f2 from Sony, and it's tiny, and it's inexpensive, and it makes the whole system so much more enjoyable. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a photo of what I'm shooting this on with this camera right here. There we go. It's locking on instantaneously. It's just an instantaneous lock. If I go over here, I don't know if you can hear the beeps, but there's no lag. There's literally, let's see. Now, I'm using the mechanical shutter, not the silent shutter. That's another thing. This also has the silent shooting capabilities. So you can be as quiet as a mouse or quieter than a mouse. This camera has so much going for it. $31.99, that is a bang for the buck, because the A9 is $4,500, and the A9 is still the Sony flagship. But this, you can hear the trains in the background. This, if you don't need that all-out response and speed in frames per second of the A9, I would highly recommend this over the A9 for everything else. Landscape, portraits, weddings, street, daily use. This guy will be phenomenal. I'm excited about the A7RIII. I've been with Sony through so many digital cameras over the last 10 years, ever since they started putting out, ever since they took over Minolta, bought out Minolta, and started coming out with cameras. I've been using Sony cameras, and right now this is pretty much the pinnacle of what they have accomplished. Sony also says this is the camera with the best IQ they've ever had in any digital camera. That says a lot right there. This is a solid release from Sony. I don't know if anyone will or how anyone could hate on this camera. You're getting that amazing battery life. One of the Sony artisans said he got 2,200 shots with a single battery charge on the Sony A7RIII. Sony is being conservative with their numbers because they state something like 680 shots per battery charge, but I noticed that with the A9 as well, I was getting 12, 13, 14, 1,500 images on a charge. So again, kudos to Sony. You can pre-order the A7RIII. It's going to ship the end of November 2017. So we're only a little over a month away from having it in your hands, and I have a feeling I'm going to be able to shoot a little more with it very soon in a more suitable environment to show what this camera can do. I'll have some samples here for you that I shot today, but don't expect anything crazy or fancy because everybody's shooting the same thing. It's one of those events. So there'll be more from me later on in a couple weeks, 3 weeks, with the camera, with some gorgeous shots. Stay tuned.